am back finishing the second part of the video, what I eat in a day, or what I eat sometimes. Someone said that, and that's a way more appropriate title. So I just entered in Cronometer 2 days so that we can just look at 2 days and look at the nutrients and how things add up. So um, this is definitely how I eat sometimes, because things, even though with my boring new diet, things still vary quite a bit. But I just wanted to show you how using Cronometer is quite powerful and valuable, because especially when we change our diet, we can figure out where we're at, and if we're consistently missing something, we have to bring a food in that will bring the nutrients. And sometimes when we're really intuitive, we can actually crave the food that we're missing, and that's the optimal. But those physical tools also help, such as Cronometer, and sometimes tracking things so we know we're not missing things. So let's start with, that was actually I entered it for today. The day of recording is the 31st, but that was 2 days ago. That was the day when I did the first part of the day video. So I had coffee as usual. Did I enter the coffee? I didn't enter the coffee. Damn it. Can I enter the coffee? Let's see. Yes, coffee. So I have one black coffee a day, small, but I adore it, enjoy it, and I wake up excited. At least back in the day, I used to be excited about it. Now I enjoy it, but it's black coffee is something unique. It's uniquely amazing. Anyways, the weird thing about coffee is when you just click on the coffee, look, it does provide certain B vitamins. So, and a little bit of potassium. So one black, I don't like it spiced with anything, no sugar, nothing, because when you get high quality coffee, it tastes like heaven. And I had wakame that I had after my workout. I had 4 or 5 very small apples. I bought these village apples that are very, very small, and that was my apples for the day. I think I didn't eat bananas that day, which usually results in needing dessert after dinner. If you end up eating your fruit pre-dinner, you're just not gonna have any cravings for any concentrated sugars after. So I had my apples, and after that I made a dip out of raw carrots. I had 3 big carrots, so I'm estimating them at 250 grams, but I don't know if this is correct. Half a small cabbage was my veggies for dipping. I actually had a little bit of broccoli. I had a touch of broccoli that day, so let's say a third of a bunch, maybe less. I don't know, 600, a third of a bunch, let's say that. So I had a little bit of broccoli, chopped up cabbage, and spinach that I rolled up and dipped into my dip. Somewhere here is the spinach. I had through the day a little bit of chocolate and a little bit of sourdough. And you see here, nadamu was my dessert after dinner. I had sprouted tofu, about half a container, those double containers. So the one side of the container in the dip. So it was the tofu or hemp seeds in the dip with carrots, wakame, paprika, which is a nice thickener, lucuma powder. Often it adds some sweetness. Oh, you know what? I added raisins as well. So let's add 1 tablespoon of lucuma powder, and let's add raisins, because I added raisins to my dip to make it a little sweet, and because that's what I had. 1 tablespoon, just a little over 1 tablespoon, I think. So you see how the quantities kind of get a little weird when you don't know. So that puts me at around 2000 calories. Cronometer is estimating a little less because I adjusted my activity to low. And so I had bread. I had a little bit of ice cream, which is not often, but because I bought ice cream a few times, I've had it a few times, a few evenings. Cabbage, paprika, doughs. I have to remove the doughs because I ran out of it, but I was trying to find the wakame. Let's remove the doughs, but I recommend have doughs. It's the best for iodine. I added PB2 to my dressing. Not PB2, sorry, peanut powder, but the Cronometer doesn't have my peanut powder. This one has a little bit of salt added to it. Through the day, cacao drinks with coconut milk. And that's about it. There is some details here that I'm missing, but that's about it. And let's go to the nutrients. So, because I've added my vitamin, I'm taking a Life. I'll link it before. It actually puts me way high in all the nutrients. So remove it just so you see what I'm getting from food. The vitamin tops me off for sure. So let's say 0 of my vitamin. And I'm still meeting all my requirements, ain't I? Yes, I'm meeting all my B1, B2, B3. My fat is a little higher here. You can put the mouse over 22%, 15 protein, and 64 carbs. I have my Cronometer for 80, 10, 10. You see that my protein is high and it's coming mostly from the tofu and the bread and the spinach. I'm meeting my zinc requirements, my calcium by far actually, the iron. Iron is never a problem for me. Zinc, I have to watch it, and sometimes I have to buy specifically asparagus or something like this, or pumpkin seeds for it. And sodium, I don't know, yes, I'm exceeding it a little bit, which I think I've been doing that, to be completely honest, with the miso. And you see, what else should I, we have vitamin K, which is easy with the green leaves. Folate, as usual, is really high. And imagine when I had my supplement, vitamin E comes from the spinach and paprika. I love paprika. So you can also click on the paprika alone. I put heaps of paprika on top and inside the dip. And you see that it's quite high for just being a little powder that you add as flavor. It already has zinc, iron, 11%, that's a lot. Vitamin E, which is very interesting. And of course, vitamin A, that actually covers all the needs. Clicking out of it, and we can see that pretty much this covers all my nutrients now. And I actually have some junk food via the ice cream. All right, so let's go to the day, the previous day, which was a completely different day. I ate after my workout, I knew I'm really hungry, so I ate 8 bananas with my coconut milk and peanut powder. I really just adore it. I'll keep linking it below. Get yourself, not the PB2, the organic one that I'm using, but they don't have it here. So I had maybe even more than that. I probably had more than that, let's say maybe 3, I don't know. And I had those small teeny mini apples. I had baked a spaghetti squash and a teeny mini kabocha squash. And I had the kabocha squash with sriracha and the spaghetti squash with sriracha and mustard. I didn't feel like cooking yesterday. So I just put the sauces I already have in the fridge because I literally could not, was just not into cooking yesterday. Black pepper, which probably does add certain, here they have an enter-manganese. That's beside the point, but spices are important because they do add iron. I had potatoes, not boiled. I had baked potatoes with sriracha and coconut cream, and I so recommend that. So good. Lori couldn't stop eating them, which she is not a foodie and she was into them. The coconut milk lattes that I had, cacao powder. Look at the cacao powder. It adds all of this. Just having the latte, that's 12% zinc, which is somewhat low on a diet of fruit. Not low, but you have to make sure you're getting it. magnesium, which is great, and of course protein. And I had coffee in the morning and one decaf. So because I bought a decaf that's really good, Ethiopian, I wanted to try it, so I had one decaf just to try it and to indulge myself, really. Just a tiny spoon of tiny bit of banana bread that Lottie was having, herbal tea at night, which I'm sure it had more vitamins than Cronometer knows. So this day, because I had potatoes and squash, and I had the spaghetti squash. It was a medium spaghetti squash. I'm putting it at 600 grams. I had at first 3/4 of it, and then 4 or 5 hours later we took a bath, we watched a movie, we went over to grandma, blah blah blah. In the evening I had left a full dish, a full bowl full of spaghetti squash. I scooped it out, so I had it again with the sriracha and the mustard. It was so good. And I think that was it. And again, I have entered my multivitamin and I actually have 3 tablets. So it tops everything off. This day I am more typical of my ratios: 11 fats, 8 protein, and 81 carbs. This is very typical of my diet. But let's remove the supplement just so we see what I get from food. I still do have the supplement as often as I can. I try to remember to take it during the day because vitamin D can interfere with your sleep cycle. So I try to get my vitamin early on. So I'm still mostly topping everything off. You see, just short of completing it, but keep in mind I didn't count my bananas. It felt like 8 bananas. It could have been 9. So if it was 9, I would top it off. And I go by how much I'm craving. So probably overall I had enough. The spaghetti was high in zinc. I also had some pumpkin seeds from the spaghetti squash. Let's enter that because they're high in zinc. And I also had some carob powder. So let's enter pumpkin seeds. Just one tablespoon because I didn't need too many of them. And carob, 1 tablespoon, that's about right. And I ate my potatoes while I was preparing my dinner. So I was just munching on the potatoes while I was making the dip. The dip has a lot of raw in it and the tofu. I'm waiting to buy hemp seed and I'll replace the tofu with hemp for a while. And this is not a bad ratio of omega-3 to omega-6. You kind of want the omega-3s to be at a good ratio so that inflammation is low, but I have also heard that ratio that is recommended only applies to extracted oils because the studies were done on extracted oils rather than whole foods. So if you're eating whole foods and your ratio is not this good, this is about 1 to 4, even less, 1 to 3, then if it's coming from whole foods, you shouldn't be horribly worried. This ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 applies for sure to extracted oils. They have an inflammatory effect if you're having a lot of extracted omega-6 oils, such as sunflower, sesame, etc. oils. Zinc, I topped it off, and remember I still had my vitamin, so that would put me even at a higher zinc. My protein is 54, which is really good for me. I try not to have too high protein diet, but sometimes it ends up being 80, 100. Oftentimes it is around this, and I love that because this is where I feel good. It's not a really high protein. Of course, it's not low. I'm meeting usually all my amino acid needs, but I have a feeling here not all the foods are entered for amino acids, so you don't get a full reading on the amino acids. There's probably something that is not entered, like the mustard maybe. Because the mustard does have iron in it. That's entered, see? Mustard is already 4 grams. And I did put a lot of mustard on my food, so you see how abundant the mustard is. I also had, I think that's about what I had. It's hard to recall every little bite a person takes, but you see that Vitamin D usually for a vegan diet either comes from mushrooms or supplementation. Vitamin E typically comes from here paprika, um, seeds and nuts. Every day is different, so over the week I probably go at a little higher here. Vitamin K, I have never had problems with vitamin K. This particular day I didn't eat greens, so you see it's 50. Usually I'm at 5000% or 400 or something, way over the top with vitamin K. Choline, not bad. That choline is here. I think I added it manually to see the choline. Folate as usual is covered. Iron, because I didn't eat any greens that day, which is very atypical of me. You see it's getting up there. And let's add the supplement. I had 3 of those. And I have the prenatal, but I don't know if they have the data for that. Not prenatal, the breastfeeding one. And you see, it kind of tops off everything. And overall, sometimes you're not going to meet all your requirements. That's quite normal. You will make sure that you meet them over the week, most of your requirements. You don't have to worry about every single day being perfect. That's a little too OCD. But you see 2 completely different days. Again, a lot of raw. I still have to have a lot of raw, otherwise I don't quite feel right. And I do meet everything, and I think that's about this video. My diet right now is based on what I buy in our shopping trip once or twice or 3 times a week. We just stop at Whole Foods or HEB, a local store here, and I just get what I need, usually cabbage, carrots, apples, and whatever else there is. I'll try to go to an Asian market or something for some more interesting and exotic fruits, but I'm doing whatever I can, spending more time with family and actually working more. So shopping is really not high on my priority list now, unfortunately, because it can be fun, but because it's so far, we are living in a really remote, beautiful area, very peaceful. I just end up enjoying the day too much, and I love the area so much that I'd rather just buy bulk my main veggies and eat that, so I can enjoy the area and focus on work and playing with baby at night and all of that. But I hope this was in some ways helpful to you. Let me show you the PB, just the PB reading. PB is pretty much 15 grams of protein. Goodness, that's so much protein. For anybody interested in a protein supplement, this one tastes great. It has just a touch of iron. I have a feeling they haven't entered all the values, so keep in mind it cannot not have other values, they just haven't entered what it has. So keep in mind, even when this is my end result, not every food I eat is entered, so I do end up getting probably way more than the Cronometer reads in, plus the little teas and other things that I have. Anyways, this is from me. I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.